So good morning. Good morning, Dr. P. Chandrasekhar, sir. He's always a sort of a guru for an industry's stalwart. And to the esteemed speaker sitting on the dais as well, my industry friends and the colleagues here. Well, first of all, I would like to thank organizing committee here for invitation to speak in Exploration and Production Conclave 2023. And we have seen this morning onwards, yesterday the panelists and all that. So a very enlightening sessions. And very rightly so, everyone said it's very timely. And why it is timely, I'll also talk on a few, a glimpse on that. And it's an honor and great pleasure to be here. So coming to the slides, the theme here today, as Dr. Chandrasekhar said, that it's a new frontier in onshore exploration. And as we heard yesterday through the panelists, offshore is all clear. No population, nothing. We can go do anything we want, data acquisition to drilling, and as and when we want. And even the central government give immediate the PL. The moment we come to the onshore, we had to skip every house and the different difficulties, even to shoot the seismic. So that's sort of the challenges comes when you come to the onshore. I'll largely talk about the onshore exploration scenarios, the new opportunities available in the mature basins, and use of technology, which is very key, integration, and of course the resource quantity, which is probably the fundamental here, what we are driving and trying to achieve. So, sorry, I'm going to my first slide here. It's a general disclaimer, probably what I'm saying is not all the thoughts and the company, what they want to communicate. There are multiple my personal thoughts here, so that's the disclaimer here. As an Indian, as Jenny said this morning, she's Indian, we are also Indian, and we talk as an Indian national sometimes, and as a collaborative, so it's a synergy for energy type of thing I may communicate here. Well, looking into this particular scenario of Indian exploration, as Dr. Chandrasekhar said, so we started long back in 1887 or 1889, when the first Digboy discovery came, incidentally in the northeast region of India. And I'm sorry, I'm not having this torch here, but you can see since then the Indian exploration actually started, and it's picked up in 1960s, where we can clearly see that the ramping. So what you see here, the red color curve in the bottom is showing is the number of exploration well we drilled through the different years, all the way. The green color curve on this particular things you can see is the one where we had the more discoveries or the volume we have accrued with the particular discoveries. I just given a few names there. There are the multiple discoveries in that particular year maybe. And then what you see is how the different plays or the different basins opened up with the time, right? And the left-hand side scale is telling the cumulative 2P we accrued in the country, which is around 32 to 35 billion barrel oil equivalent so far. And the discoveries, different size in that particular year, you can see per year-wise in MMBOE. What we see here, surprisingly, that till 1989, 1990, there are multiple discoveries we had. You name it, like Digboy, Ankleshwar, to the Bombay Height, to Baseen and Panna, and all those. But then, the moment we picked up drilling more wells, on an average 2 decades we drill, on an average 200 exploration well in the country. And you look at the resultant scenario. We hardly accrued any hydrocarbons there. You hardly see any. There looks like a gap in between. So the curve, red goes up and the green goes down. Maybe this was the time we were only focusing on the step-out wells, exploration wells, or the near discovered fields exploration, what generally we used to do to maximize the hydrocarbon production. So our main aim was the production. Incidentally, that was the time also we started using 3D seismic data. And that always reduce or shrink the volume, and we start focusing on those amplitudes, what we saw this morning. So, while India's incremental consumption, if you see today, on an average, is nearly 1.5 billion barrel what we are consuming on an average per year. So in the last 1 decade, if I see, nearly 15 billion to 17 billion barrel has to be the reserve replacement ratio we should have in India if we had to cope up with what we are declining. We probably have none in the last 1 decade. Maybe there are multiple reasons, We didn't have any blocks on the auction for the last 10 years, a decade. We had this recent phenomena of the pandemic that we all served and we all actually faced through. But the pace at which the exploration drilling and the success trend we are seeing here on this curve in India is a matter of concern for all of us as Indians, as operators. And it required a concerted and systematic efforts for all the stakeholders, actually, to address this situation, starting from subsurface imaging, which is a largely biggest trouble what we have. We are always having a stamp size, seismic acquisition, data acquisition. We think about the exploration well, should we acquire certain logs or not? So the best-in-class technologies all the way to the EOR, process and practices, and of course the enabling support to develop the required ecosystem to motivate and enhance exploration and related successes we want to see, we want to have. That's very critical at the moment. Going to the next slide here, what you see here is all the onshore basins. There are offshore as well carved out, but all the onshore basins you can see here, which counts to 23 basins onshore. What we see here is that nearly 95% of the exploration wells are drilled in the 23% of the area, a basinal area, I would say. And that largely focused into the 5 basins, or 5 sedimentary basins. And consequently, 77% area is still underexplored or unexplored. 18 basins, that covers that particular category. First of all, I would like to thank DGH for the recent NSP seismic program. They have covered multiple of these basins with the 2D program. You can start seeing something down there, which was not available before. They opened up the NDR, which has the legacy data set. You all can purchase that, reprocess them, club them, stitch them. You can see the regional story, sub-regional story before you actually focusing onto the block or the prospect. So that's a great thing happen. So while it is need of the hour to acquire the good quality subsurface data in frontier basins, you can see in the red on the onshore India, the focus also to be remain on the exploration in new or the deeper plays in mature basin, as just now morning Chandrasekhar sir has explained. Giving example here, that the lower pie you see maybe not very clear here on this particular image here, but that's a 26% well drilled in the Assam-Arakan shelf. And the area, basinal area is 8%. The yellow color pie you see in the downwards. 26% well out of 100% is drilled only in the Assam-Arakan basin. I'll show you the scenario how that basin looks like. So going forward, that's another slide here, that even with the matured basins like Assam-Arakan, the exploration density, if you'll see, is close to, so I've given arrow here, it's close to 100 square kilometer per well is the exploration density you see in the Assam-Arakan. That is the scenario what we are talking here. When we are talking here, once we explore and find any discovery, we start producing the field, we always remain around it. We generally not tend to go out of it, not acquiring much more data, going beyond that actually. And this suggests basically that the mature basins are still underexplored. They are still having multiple places to be drilled and explored, and that gives you the opportunity in the mature basin, and that's what I would like to talk here today, that what are those sort of opportunities are here, using the technologies, integrations, we can still find a large amount of hydrocarbons within the basins where we matured them for the last 20, 25 years or 40 years, 50 years in some of the basins. In fact, Assam, when we are talking, it's like it's the oldest one, as I saw you in the previous slide, that goes like hundreds of years of history. Even if you see the right-hand side curve here, these are the creaming curve of the Tipam, Barel, and the lower formations. We call them, these are the creamed. But if I go to the next slide and show you in the Assam-Arakan basin, what you see in the picture is that entire basin where you see the foreland basin, which is a large part here, and you see the fold and thrust belt. What we see here is the majority is the Upper Assam shelf, where you have a huge amount of the discoveries and the fields. We remain around it. While you see there are multiple structures, multiple plays are available. And if I show you the next picture, these are the exploration wells we drilled here. And you can see the picture here, where we are focused. The entire north bank is still clear. Nothing has been done at large, I would say. We haven't done anything on the full thrust belt while we had a good amount of discoveries. Wherever we drilled, the Digboy is one of the example. And yesterday only I heard from Oil India that they found a discovery, a new exploration well in the Rudrasagar, which is a field which came to the decline, which we are thinking probably it is not producing to what we thought. So that sort of the surprises are there where the fields are existing. So these are the area where almost 75% of the basin is still waiting for exploration of the exploration or the plays which we still need to chase. This is one of the example of the integration of the data. So the FTG, the full tensor gravity gradiometry, which Cairn has acquired across some of the area of the Assam-Arakan basin, including the full thrust belt. And I can say you can see the Digboy field here, and you can see the correlatable high sitting below that is coming out of the FTG processing, the full tensor gravity gradiometry and magnetics. When we take a line after the tear fault here inside our block on another high from the FTG, what you see is in the right-hand side picture. In fact, Cairn Vedanta has mapped at least 22 such anticlines across the different part of the blocks. They are all still waiting. Maybe there are certain surface issues which we all talk and we see, but those opportunities are there. And those are the basins which we are exploring for hundreds of years. Coming to Rajasthan, in our own backyard, Barmer Basin we are calling, the situation is not different. You see the basin which was not there on India map 23 years back. We have so far established more than 6.5 billion barrel of oil and gas. We already produced nearly 2 billion barrel of oil out of it. And still we are thinking that there are at least 4 to 5 different play types that still needs to be chased. We haven't touched them, we scratched them only. One of the example you see here is the sub-Deccan Mesozoic play that has been drilled deeper through the Rageshwari field, which is more of a Deccan field. And there we found the hydrocarbon potential of the sub-Deccan Mesozoic play. It shows in the right-hand side picture in the green color portrait, having a potential of at least 500 million barrel of oil equivalent hydrocarbons. The another good thing here is then when we are coming to Barmer Basin, we see the multiple cross trains as you can see on the lines on the map of Barmer Basin. And the background image is basically gravity image. We see the equivalent to the Bikaner Nagaur and the Jodhpur Sonia formation. Those trains are prevailing, and that has been drilled and tested in a few wells. We had aged some of these wells where the rock is around 350 million years of the old age rocks are there. So the proto basins which are sitting below this basin is also giving lots of the structurations and the play is existing. And if you look all that together, it's an amazing basin, and we still need to learn and we still need to explore it. We had to go beyond the discoveries we made in Mangalashwari, Bhagyam, and Rageshwari Guda and all that. So another example here, if I show another play. Sorry, the slide. Yeah. This is what we call the resource play. And the picture, what you see here is the entire Barmer Basin, north to south. What we did is we have mapped it in a very, very facies level, the Barmer Hill Formation, which is a very rich source rock. HI is more than 900. The thickness of the shale is 800 meter plus across. There are type 1 and type 3 mixed source rock, as you can see in the right-hand side, the HI versus OI index. And we have carved out the different sweet spots here all the way. The recent one, VNV, we drilled one well there, a pilot well, and we proved that 4.8, nearly 5 million barrel oil equivalent per square kilometer is the hydrocarbon in place. So if I talk about this north to south, where we had planned actually the immediate, midterm, and the long term, the way we would like to explore this particular basin in unconventional, it's like billions of barrel oil we are talking here. That's unconventional potential. This is a mature basin, what we are keep on calling. And there is more actually. If I go to the fractured basement, So fractured basement, we're utilizing some of the techniques, the subsurface geological techniques. As you can see in the right-hand side, that's one of the Saraswati field we had. In Saraswati 4 well, we proved hydrocarbon in the fractured basement. Since 2014, still it is producing without water cut. So that's the potential here. And the field you see here on the upper picture is the Rageshwari field, and the down picture is actually one of the new opportunity which we mapped. All these circles you can see on the map. The Sanchor Basin is basically clubbing the Cambay North and the Southern Barmer Basin. And that's an area where you see lots of such structures, which are like 20 to 40 square kilometer in size. That's a play which is still waiting for us. Well, we have a plan to explore that. But the policy, separate policy for such rocks is very critical here because you need huge amount of fracking in that. So that's our advocacy on that as well. So with that, I mean, like I would like to say here that the total potential of these 5 so far explored basin onshore, what we are talking here, has given us the billions of barrels of oil so far. We have produced out of it. But still, they are not matured when we are looking at the multiple different play types, when we are looking at the aerial extent, what we have matured, and what we have actually explored so far. I'll go to my concluding slide here. More technologies. So in summary, while the need of ours is to get good subsurface data in multiple onshore basins, which has not been touched so far, DGH has given good initiative to it. But focus has to be remain on the new plays in the matured basin, which are still awaiting. And they are already proven, and we need to tap them. Because we don't have the reserve replacement ratio in the last decade plus what actually country requires. Onshore exploration, the key success what here is the high quality seismic and other enabling technology, blending them, integrating them, teasing out all the information out of it before we go and drill a well. It's onshore or offshore. Low cost exploration on a high impact play is another thing because generally nothing is in our backyard. When we are going for the frac unit, somebody said yesterday, a flight cannot be run if the 10% of the seats are filled. But if I had to pay 10 times of my seat, flight still can be run. That's what we are doing in this industry in the country. The service providers are not giving us on the same prices or the same capex, what we have to put here in India, they come on a cost. Because whenever we need to have a long lead time. Whenever we need them, it comes on a larger price and a bigger price. If the yard is there, ecosystem is there, it's very easy and we can tap all the play I talked here. And that's very critical. Leveraging existing infrastructure, quick monetization is another thing. Enabling policy is very important. A policy for incentive for difficult or unconventional play is very critical here. That's my another point here. And of course, the last one is the synergy for energy. Unless the cooperation and innovation between the operating companies happen, it's very tough. We individually can run this country. I think probably we are living in a different world then. So thank you very much, sir, for inviting, and thanks for giving time to talking here.